All right. Another topic under codependency that we want to talk about is a synonym for codependency, which is control addict. And I know this has a really negative connotation, but I would really love to talk about, if you guys haven't picked up yet, the root of things is really important to me. Because in order for me to heal, not fix, but heal or resolve um, something, it's really important for me to know where it came from and to understand what purpose it serves. Not just as a therapist, as a human. That's always been a thing for me. When you think of control addict, it sounds like it's a really term, and the cartoon character that might be associated with that probably wouldn't be very attractive or pretty. But I want to help you develop how one goes from a little person, boy or girl, and develops into a control addict. The roles that we talked about in the family roles, all of those roles serve a purpose. And the purpose is to recreate the homeostasis of that baby mobile, the one where you hit it and the whole thing moves around until slowly it comes back to center. And when one person is affected in a system, the system is affected. And so remember, it's not bad or wrong that the family members create the homeostasis. What makes it dysfunctional is when the children that stepped into roles aren't returned to the child roles. They stay in those parentified roles and responsibilities. And so it becomes who they are, not what they do. And a control addict or someone who fulfilled those roles of childhood, hero, lost child, scapegoat, mascot, they all have a role, and those roles play out, remember, thematically through their adult life until the unmet needs related to those roles are healed, until the adult is able to reparent and repair. The adult meaning me and me, not me waiting on my now 73-year-old mom to come and do what she couldn't do. So when it comes to a control addict, these roles are reinforced at such a young and early age. And Amber would argue, even in utero at times, the need to control, because control brings safety. There's an equation that happens very early on, and I mentioned it as mascot, that when I could distract dad, he would leave mom alone. Control equals safety. And that becomes a part of the script around control. So as a control addict, the longer it lasts, the worse it gets. And the reality is, we all know we have very little control or power over our world, regardless of what your belief system is. We don't control someone else's behaviors. We don't control someone else's actions. And sometimes we have a really hard time controlling our own behaviors and actions. If you want to challenge me on that, watch me parent. I can't control my 7-year-old, my 4-year-old. I can influence them, but I can't control them. So in my role, it becomes my responsibility to create this control, and I perfect it. I perfect it to the point that I become a perfectionist. And that rigidity, that all or nothing, that black and white thinking becomes my mentality. And remember, I still equate control with safety. And if I'm not in control, I won't feel safe. That is part of my code if I'm a computer. That is part of my blueprint of the house. It's in there. It's genetic. And so what we have to do as control addicts is, it's not as simple as saying, okay, well, let's do some grounding and meditation. Well, let's get back in our bodies. So many of us that suffer from control addiction are also ADSers. Don't Google that because you won't find it. It's an Amberism. ADSing is always doing shit. It's the busyness. It's the over functioning. It's the when my husband wants to have a really serious conversation, it's the time that I have to clean out that bathroom closet. Or when my kids are fighting and I don't want to parent or adult that day, I go in the garage and start organizing my husband's tools that he doesn't even use. It's the avoidance of the feeling and emotion. And you'll remember in the emotional unavailability video that that's something that we talked about is I have to numb and get rid of this in order to show up for out here. And as a control addict, that's what I have to do. So the next video will be on recovery and how that shows up in codependency. And so much of that will relate to being a control addict and how do I let go of that control? How do I let go so that my brain isn't associating safety with control? Yeah, I hope this was helpful.